So, welcome to the Community Spotlight with Think Tank. These conversations are for entrepreneurs to connect with each other, learn about each other, and share and be inspired by the wisdom that we each have. So, each of our stories are different because we face different challenges. But that means that what you've learned along the way is a very valuable piece to bring to this community so that we can learn from you and then each of us can move one step further. Um, so I also will invite too. I know there's a couple folks who are here watching, me and Celeste. So if you have any questions, I really invite that questions, in a few minutes, and just feel free to put that in the chat. So let's dive in and learn from our first guest, Celeste Rickard, who is an artist who focuses on landscape and portraits with a realism style. I would love to hear more about your journey with art and now looking to creating this art business. So maybe you can start off with just letting us know what drew you to art originally and how has that evolved over time?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know, art's always been a part of my life ever since I can remember. I was drawing. Painting is a little bit more recent. 7 years roughly painting, but as long as I can remember, I've been drawing. It's just been a part of my life. That's been a big passion of mine. And yeah, I don't know. It's just something that drew me to it. And I've had some really cool mentors. A few of my siblings were really driven to that kind of hobby. It's not necessarily a hobby for me, but it was for them, and that kind of drove me in my competitive spirit. And then my cousin, that's 10 years older than me, has a master's in her art degree, and she would kind of like tutor me while I was like 10 or 12 and like show me tips and tricks and stuff. And so it's been kind of cool, like kind of self-taught, but like kind of mentored into it. So it's been fantastic.
Awesome. Sounds like a lot of community support. Um, and what drew you specifically to like realism, this particular style that you really like?
It's I don't know. There's just so much beauty in nature. Like, I absolutely love nature. I love being in the mountains, by the ocean, everything. Like, if I have free time, I want to be hiking or outside in some degree. And it's so beautiful. And like, you can kind of like play on it, and it doesn't have to be like perfectly, because I don't do a perfect style of realism. Um, Definitely maybe a grade down, but um, I've tried doing other styles of art, but this is just what clicks for me.
So really trying to capture that natural beauty. I love
Mhm.
that. So, what was the moment where you realized you wanted to turn this passion into a business?
So that actually has to do a little bit, actually a lot with my faith. So I'm a Christian, and with through my relationship with God, it's very scary because um, art is a not super consistent field to get into. But I have such a strong spiritual feeling the closer I get to God that that's what he wants me pursuing. And so like that is the biggest reason I'm putting this effort in.
Nice. Really connected to something you really value.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so starting a business from scratch is challenging. What would you say is what you're focusing on right now? Like, where would you say you are in the journey and what's your current focus?
Absolutely. My focus right now is just learning. Like I am observing other entrepreneurs either in the same field or different fields, talking to them, learning from them. I have a cousin, a few people who do professional photography, and they've kind of taught me about a few different things with that. Kind of my big list of things to get done actually right now is to fill out a lot of like the legal side of things. Specifically write a contract, which is a very long and tedious process.
Mhm.
And there has to be like multiple different contracts for different types of commissions or anything that I would do like that. Because commissions is mainly what I would work from. Ideally, I would like to sell prints, but I'm not there yet. And then, yeah, a big thing of mine, something I posted on the think tank, is I am really working on like the self-management side of things because I am doing this outside of my home, and I am definitely working on turning on and off work mode. That is something I'm figuring out.
Mm. Yes, I think the balance is something we all are trying to figure out. Is there anything that's been helping you with that? Or like you're trying out to see if it's going to help you with turning on and off?
Yes. So I'm actually one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits, and I've gone through it like 3 or 4 times now. This is the fourth time I'm going through it, but I'm kind of going through it and specifically taking what I'm learning and trying to um, apply it specifically to like the business side of things and like having a specific area that's only for work. An idea is like changing clothes, like changing into work clothes and then changing out of work clothes can kind of get your mind in and out of work mode. Or there's like some people use songs to like cue that. And like once you hear it enough immediately after working, then you're like, okay, it's time to relax.
I love that
So
that
there's a
taps
few
into the
different things.
senses. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it really taps into your senses. So like you're physically feeling different clothes, you're visually seeing yourself differently, or you're listening
Hmm.
to a song. I feel like that makes a lot of sense and probably connects with someone who's very creative like yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. The one other thing I'm doing is I'm setting alarms, but I have specific ringtones for specific things because I don't have those ringtones for anything else. So like if I hear that, then like hopefully that'll trigger it.
Right,
That's
yeah.
the plan.
I love how it's kind of it's like these simple little things, but it could really make a big difference psychologically,
Hmm.
and then give yourself that sort of like energetic space between these two things. What would you
Yeah.
describe like as you look at the vision of your business? Because you've mentioned commissions, maybe art prints down the line, but online, I think you mentioned as well in the community about like live events or weddings. And so what's kind of your
Hmm.
vision of the what you're moving toward?
I I absolutely love weddings. They're just so full of joy, especially like weddings outside. Those are my favorites. Kind of combines two things that I love. But it's just so much joy and it's so just like heartwarming to be in that environment. And it's something like a live painting is something so special, or even just like a portrait after the fact of one of their favorite photos from their wedding. It's such a special memento. And there's something in me that just loves the idea of it. And so I'm like really pushing towards that. I'm not quite there yet, but I have a plan to connect with different people and I have my plan to get into that field. I'm not there yet, but I have my plan.
Yeah, it's part of the vision. Yeah.
Yes.
You have to have a
Yeah,
vision when you're an entrepreneur, something to move toward and
absolutely.
expand into. And
Absolutely.
so you said that you like primarily you'd start with commissions.
Hmm.
What is that something that's easier to connect into because you maybe already have some of those in your network, or like how do you sort of see yourself engaging with that or creating those?
I
Yeah.
specifically, yeah, specifically with commissions. Right now it's just working kind of word of mouth, and that's actually working surprisingly well, but I do want to
Mhm.
grow it and make it more consistent. The biggest thing that I absolutely love about doing commissions is it's so personal to the people or the person I'm creating it for. And it's just, I don't know, it invokes so much more joy and just like, I don't know, it's very endearing. I love that process because I get to create something very special for an individual. Did that answer your
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's like I can really see why that would be very valuable to people. It's so personal, and you're capturing something really special for them. Um, since you're kind of at the beginning of this journey, but you're moving into it, you've got these different pieces in the works. Is there anything that you've learned personally or about business that has like surprised you or has been just interesting to learn as you're on this journey, but maybe about yourself or this process?
Mm, about myself, I'm bad at self-management, at least at home. When I'm
You're like,
at
now I really see
home
it.
is my relaxation place. So I'm trying to change that. So that and so like that's been actually the biggest and like hardest part for me. Um I mean, I knew like the legal side of things would be complicated, but getting into it, it's a whole other beast. So it's not like some of it's not complicated, but some of it is. So just trying to figure that out. I'd say those two things. Um, yeah. I'd say the creating the art process and like delivering the piece is very that's good. Like that's just very consistent. That's
Yeah.
my favorite part of it.
Yeah, the business side, right? Because it's a whole other thing, you know.
Yeah.
The art piece, it's a difficult like process to be in when like you're really good at this, and then you're like now you have to add on a whole other type of thing that you have to learn
Hmm.
in the process of doing it. So really takes a lot of courage. So
Yeah. Yeah. Don't love the legal side of it. It's okay. I'm getting there.
well, I'm glad you're here though to connect with other people. And I was going to ask you, and then I know I see a comment in the chat. But I was going to ask you too, like, what do you hope is to get from or to receive from this community of entrepreneurs?
Mm. Honestly, like just community. Like it's
Mm.
fantastic seeing other people's goals and their achievements and all their ideas. That's fantastic. I have connected with a few people over the chats in the think tank, which has been amazing. And um, hopefully to connect with a few people. But so far, like, yeah, I've been kind of getting into that community, and that's been the biggest thing. And so, like, I feel like being around people with similar mindsets of kind of growing something from the ground is very important because, like, if you're not around that, then like you'll have a different mindset.
Yeah, really. Like being inspired and encouraged is a big part of it. I don't think everybody really
Yeah,
understands like what it takes to be an entrepreneur and like that it's really important to have that encouragement because it's not easy. So there is
no.
one question in the chat, which is, have you had any great connections or relationships that have come out of doing this kind of work for weddings? And if so, you have like examples of that or
I
commissions,
haven't.
whichever one you've been doing.
Yeah, I haven't done any weddings yet. I've done a few like wedding portraits, but there is a gentleman, he's a retired disabled military member. I don't remember what branch he was a part of, but he does a lot of like nonprofit stuff. And like most of the first pieces I ever did for him were for like the people within the nonprofit who were in like third world countries. And it was like I personally know these people. A few of them, one of the individuals had like a terminal disease, and that was a very sad piece to do. Um, but like I've had like consistent not consistent work, but like he's come back and he's gotten a few things. And actually, I'm working on one right now where it's the Mona Lisa, but instead of Mona Lisa, it's his wife, which is very endearing and sweet. And I'd say he would basically be like the most consistent and like biggest connection through it because like a lot of the pieces are very emotional, and I even get emotional about them.
Yeah, oh, and it's interesting because you mentioned how these commissions are special to other people, but I really hear too it's very special to you because you get to learn the stories of the people and what you're portraying.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Well, you
yeah.
may have already
It.
mentioned, like that may have been the one, but I see another question about do you have like a favorite commission that you've done or something that stood out to you?
Ooh. Um, someone I know went to Alaska and worked in Alaska for a few years, and he got some like beautiful pictures, and he actually commissioned me. At the time, it was the biggest piece I had done, of like the ice glaciers and also some of the mountains, and the clouds were beautiful, and there's also a hill of flowers, so you get like every season you can think of in one photo, but it was just magnificent. And so I'd say that one was really really cool. That was probably my favorite.
Well, it's nice because it sounds like it brings together the story of the person with your love for nature, like all the different elements. That's good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and I would love to know as well, like, because you mentioned something you'd love to receive from the community is that like inspiration, encouragement, you're with other people that are of a similar mindset. Is there anything from your personal strengths that you would love to give to the community?
Mm. I'd say almost kind of the same. Like I love being around people. Like it's so energy giving, and I love either like bringing joy to an environment or just experiencing joy in an environment. And so like something along that within the community would be really really cool. I don't know what that would look like, but yeah, just kind of me being a part of the community too.
Awesome. So bring in your energy.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely. Um, yeah, and so let's see. So you kind of mentioned that so like you have some of the things that you're working on right now, and then maybe long
Mm.
term you'd like to do some of the live events. Is there anything in maybe the midterm, like your maybe 3 month goals? What would those be?
Those would definitely be like officially legally set up, contracts out of the way. I would ideally want to have 3 to 4 commissions under contract and potentially done too, to kind of get some more consistent flow in at the end of 3 months, or at 3 months, depending on like the trajectory the business takes. I I would like to have a website by then or get one at that point. Kind of it like my timeline is a little foggy right now. And I'd say that'd be really cool. I was actually listening to Chris's interview last week, and I really liked how he brought up color theory. And I went and did a lot of study into color theory myself, and I was like picking out all the colors that I would do.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Like that's what these conversations are about.
Oh yeah.
That's very cool. Well, I know we're gonna end here in a minute, so but is there any last thing you want to share or say?
Mm. No, I this was great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So, and I like to say too, especially folks who are at the beginning of your journey, like maybe we could check back in a few months and have you back on. Like, how's it going? Um,
See the trajectory, yeah.
yeah, 'cause it sounds like you're gonna be really busy. You have some awesome goals there. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you.
Thank you.